I'm never driving a minivan. I'm never moving to summer. We're not having another kid.
Hi, cutie. Hi there, cutie. You're adorable.
How long have you been here for?
Okay, I got it rolling, so just go ahead.
Alright, see what he does.
Oh, that's perfect, just like that.
Ready?
Go!
Wee! Wee! Let's go, Bob. Can you show how many dance? Smile.
I think that's perfect. Yeah, I think that's great.
Alright, you get
We can try. He's not really walking.
Yeah, he's not,
He's not too sturdy on his feet yet.
Okay.
You're saying like have them both hold one of his hands. He's just gonna do that.
Okay.
You want to try
I don't know a lot about feet.
Why did you want to try this? He stands on this. Try this thing here. He loves this.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is perfect. Yeah.
No, it's in Spanish.
Oh, that's the Spanish. Spanish.
Here we go. Can we dance? Cool.
You want to dance, Mom?
Sometimes he'll dance. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can do it. Can we dance? Yay! Yay! Good boy.
Still a show.
Not to say.
What's this
Can
new
we
buddy?
see a smile? Can we see a smile?
Just like basically tell us like what life was like before. And so also I want to let you know, you don't have to look into this camera. You can like look at me because we're going to do kind of like a side shot. So it won't be so direct. It's a little less formal way to kind of get across. So like, just pretend that's not there. We're having a conversation. So the first question was just like, tell us a little bit about your life before you found out about your heart condition, and just like what normal life was like completely before like any of that.
Basically, it was pretty normal. I mean, I was active. I ran, 2 or 3 times a week. Worked out, skateboarded, surfed, played golf. Pretty much anything you can think of, I did, and just went out sometimes on the weekends with my friends. Dinner, have drinks. Just basically a normal 30-year-old. And what else did I do?
Just started a new job.
Yeah, I actually just started a new job just before, about 4 weeks before I found out that I needed heart surgery. So that was pretty scary. Yeah, my company is really great. They really took it well. They let me have as much time as I wanted. So I was really happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really great. And my old company was really, really great too. They sent me nice emails and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was actually jump roping about 4 weeks before the surgery. I thought I was out of shape. I went surfing one time, and just about 3 weeks before the surgery, I couldn't catch my breath surfing. And I mean, surfing is really tough anyway. You could be an Olympic athlete and you get out of breath. But I was like, oh, I got to train harder. So I bought a jump rope, and I was in the garage in the middle of summer jump roping like a maniac. And that probably wasn't such a good idea. Now, I mean, since I needed heart surgery. But yeah, it was pretty normal, pretty athletic, I guess.
I can definitely relate to that because I surf a little bit, I paddleboard, but I can totally relate to that. It's like, so just tell me a little bit about what life was like 2 weeks leading up to, you know, what you were preparing for, what, you know, all of that 2 weeks before.
Yeah, we were preparing for our wedding. Our wedding was supposed to be October 4th, and so about 2 weeks before, 2 weeks before that, we were just in the final phases of our wedding, getting that started, and pretty stressful, trying to plan, and I still had to get, gifts for everybody, and we had to pick out songs, and I still felt kind of normal-ish. I just had a cough for about 3 months, which was strange. I thought it was just a normal cough, but it didn't go away for a while, so I finally actually went and saw a doctor, and they kind of misdiagnosed me the first time, and then when I finally was diagnosed correctly, I had to get emergency heart surgery. So I really didn't know I actually needed heart surgery until 2 days before I received the heart surgery. So it was pretty scary. I think 2 weeks before I needed the heart surgery, I was running and stuff, and just basically normal life. I felt a little sluggish at work. I'm on a computer all day. I'm an engineer, so I felt a little tired. I felt like an 8-hour day felt more like a 14-hour day, but I thought it was just because we're planning for the wedding and we're planning, baby. So I thought I was just tired because normal things, not getting enough sleep. So
maybe we could talk about that a little more too, just
Okay.
like,
Okay.
So yeah, 2 weeks before. Yeah, so I have a 6-month-old. So I was busy trying to keep up with him, and we had last-minute wedding preparations. So the wedding was about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. We're getting ready for it. I'm trying to think what.
we could start with, it was 2 weeks before my wedding, and then
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. So it was 2 weeks before my wedding, and we're getting all the final preparations done, trying to figure out the music and everything, while trying to take care of our 6-month-old at the time. And I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I just felt a little tired, a little sluggish. And I finally went to the doctor, and they told me I needed heart surgery. So it was a pretty scary moment. I had no idea, so it was a complete shock. And I actually didn't see my son again until I checked into the hospital, and then 10 days later I didn't see him again until 10 days after the heart surgery, because we couldn't bring a baby into the cardiac ICU or into the hospital, with all the sick people. So I didn't even get to see him till 10 days until I got home. So that was really scary. And my fiance was a big help. She was really scared, and she talked to the doctors the most. I didn't even talk to the doctors. I was actually kind of mad because I thought I was healthy, and the next thing I know, I needed heart surgery. I was kind of trying to figure out why this was happening to me and what I did wrong, or if I did something wrong. And it was kind of all a blur, actually. And I still don't really remember too much of 2 weeks before it happened, or 2 months before it happened. It's really fuzzy after that. After heart surgery, it really plays a lot into your brain. It's really weird, like memory and stuff. But yeah, it was really scary. I tried to type up a note just in case I didn't see my son again, so he could read it when he's older. But it was really hard to write it, and it didn't really come out very well. I still haven't read it again, but it's there. And yeah, and then I needed heart surgery. My fiance actually got stuck in the elevator she wanted to see me for an hour or two just before the surgery, and she actually got stuck in the elevator for half an hour at the hospital. So she was flipping out. She she's trying to get out of the elevator, and she only got to see me for about 20 minutes before the surgery. And my mom was there, and it was pretty scary. I was actually staying at my in-laws' house, my mother and father-in-law's, just before the surgery. I was really sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. Originally, they said I had they said maybe my lungs were swollen, because that's why I had this weird cough, and I had the cough for 2 to 3 months. I went to my bachelor party not knowing anything was wrong with me, and just did normal things, and went down to Key West and had a weekend with some of my friends and family members. And I still had this cough, and I noticed at work, or when I talked, I kind of had this cough, and apparently the blood was coming back down because my mitral valve wasn't working, and the blood just kept on coming back down instead of pumping up, and the blood was leaking out near my lungs and putting a lot of pressure on my lungs. And my heart was so swollen, actually, that it might have been putting pressure on my lungs, and that's where the cough came from. And I was diagnosed with maybe swollen lungs or an acute lung infection or something. And they gave me some cough syrup and steroids and a Z-Pack. And they sent me home, and then that was about 4 days before the surgery. I was at my in-laws' house, and I couldn't eat because the steroids made me my stomach so upset. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. And my mother-in-law actually said my heart was beating out of my chest. She said something's wrong. You have to go back. And we made my fiance made another doctor's appointment. And then right when this doctor actually listened to my heart, he said, you have heart failure. And I was really, really mad, actually, when he said that, because it was like basically almost like saying you have cancer, but So then I went to Boca Regional, and they right when I walked in the emergency room, I didn't even wait. They just gave me an echogram right basically on the spot, and then they knew it and they diagnosed it, and my surgery date was basically set within 3 or 4 hours of me being there, and said, you're gonna have surgery in 2 days. We're gonna run some procedures first, and then recovery after that was.
So you had a lot of like feelings of anger and just being mad when you first found out. Like, what was going through your head?
I mean, they said my heart was in really bad condition. It was swollen because I neglected it. I neglected the symptoms, because apparently when you have heart failure, you don't even know the symptoms. And that's what a lot of people in my cardiac rehab said, that they didn't know anything was wrong with them. And so, I mean, anyone can have heart failure and not know it. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it for months, years, my whole life. Who knows how long I didn't know it for. So my heart was just in such bad shape that I just didn't even realize how bad it was, and it was almost too late. So what was the question?
No, that was it. Do you feel like, how do you feel, I guess, like
anger,
knowing just like what you were feeling, your emotions, and when you got these figures?
I was mad. I wasn't that scared, to be honest. I was basically let the doctors do what they're gonna do. But that was kind of stupid at the time. I didn't really research. Thank God my fiance and my family actually researched the Dr. Cartledge, and they researched Boca Regional. They researched what kind of surgery it was, and they made sure I was going to get the proper surgery and stuff. I was so mad that I honestly, it was like a blur. I just didn't have time to research or anything, I wasn't really, I don't know, I was just kind of mad, actually.
Right, because you had gone through all this, you had gone to doctors, you've like experienced all these, not feeling well, feeling worn down, and then all of a sudden you get this news. You're like,
Yeah, it was really.
It's shock.
Yeah, it was like a slap in the face, really. It was just like, okay, guess what? You need heart surgery tomorrow.
Right, and you were 30.
31, yeah. So this was only about 4 months ago. So I mean,
Amazed.
obviously I was really emotional the night before, trying to hold everything together, and it was scary, but I had confidence in the surgeons. I couldn't think about it. I just had to let them do it.
What was the conversation like when you told your fiance this news?
Well, she actually told me the news. I didn't know. They kind of came in and they said, "Hey, you need heart surgery," and I was like, "Really?" I was really just shocked. Really, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I felt something wrong 3 months before. I really did feel something wrong, but I didn't think it was. I didn't think my heart was in such bad shape. So.
You were so young.
Yeah.
And, you were surfing, you were doing like all these things, you were very active, you were, doing everything a normal 30-year-old would do.
I had a feeling something was wrong though. It was weird. But I didn't think it was that. I don't know. I almost thought it was cancer, but I don't know. I didn't know. It's just something off. Something was off, and it wasn't externally. It was really internally. But, at the hospital when they were telling me all this, I was numb. I was mad. My fiance, she'll tell you that I was out there. I was kind of detached in a way. Obviously, I was kind of going through a lot emotionally, trying to figure out, process it. Staring at the edge of the bed, looking out the window, like, is this actually going to happen? Because the surgeon also, he didn't know how bad it was. Because they could have done a lot of different things. Nowadays, they can do a lot. They can go in. They don't have to go the invasive method, the way they went through my sternum. They could go, through the side. They could do different methods, but it was serious. So he actually had to go through the sternum, and he didn't. He's like, he said it. He didn't know if he was going to be able to repair it, replace the valve with an animal valve. He didn't know if my heart would ever function properly again. But then he did say I'd be better than ever, so that kind of reassured me. I was kind of like, okay, but it was kind of scary.
Do you feel like if you knew the warning signs of heart disease, that would be something that, like, you would have known earlier, or what role do you think that played?
I think as young people, they should really test us more, because if I would have got an echo earlier, they would have been able to see. The doctor would see how bad my heart was if I got an echo earlier, an echogram. But they never, when you're so young, you don't know the symptoms either. I don't know the symptoms. Even a lot of the older people I talked to at the rehab, they didn't even know they needed surgery. But yeah, I wish I knew more of the symptoms, and I wish I probably had more physicals and stuff. I didn't really do too many physicals. I thought I was healthy. And in any normal physical, you would have heard my heart, the heart murmur, because it was just the murmur was just off the chart. And yeah, early warning would be key. I probably wouldn't need surgery if I had early warning or early detection. Maybe. They still don't know if it was actually I was born with it, or I don't know what happened, really.
Right. What, so tell me about once you came out of your surgery, what was that like? Like, what was that feeling like when you woke up from your surgery, or saw, your fiance, or saw, Colton? What was that like?
Well, it was a relief when I woke up, because I actually awoke from this surgery. It was really scary. That's when it was pretty scary, when I had all the tubes coming out of me, and they were pulling tubes out of my lungs, and I didn't know who was around me. No one was around me. And then finally my fiance came in, like, later on that day, and that was a relief. She said how good I looked, and I knew I didn't look good. She's like, "Oh, you look great." I'm like, "No, I don't." I think I lost 10 pounds in 4 hours. I literally lost a lot of weight really quickly. And it was really the next the next 7 days in the hospital were really tough. It was, they get you up walking pretty quickly the next day, and trying to walk with all the tubes coming out of you, like drainage tubes and IVs. The IVs aren't even that bad compared to every other tube that's inside you. But you know, they're professionals and they know what they're doing, and they've, you know, pretty much perfected this. They have so many people that need heart surgery. They perfected the nursing and all the different techniques to get you back on your feet and get you out of the hospital, which is good. But it was a rough 7 days in the hospital for me. They say when you're younger, it actually hurts more because the nerves are more active. So my heart function was only at 15% ejection fraction after the surgery because it was so damaged. So in my lungs, they have to collapse your lungs for surgery, so I couldn't breathe, and my heart wasn't pumping that well. So it was rough with everything.
What was it like when you saw Colton and Jessica for the first time in your family?
It was when I came home and saw Colton, I was just like, I couldn't quite hold him yet because I couldn't hold anything more than 10 pounds. And, you know, I was just like the happiest moment, just seeing him and seeing his face. And, you know, just spending time with him for the next couple of weeks was great. I was just so relieved that he actually had a father. Because my mom's dad actually died when he was 40 of a heart failure. And this is back in the 60s, and they still don't even know why he had heart failure. So didn't want that to happen to me. But yeah, it was amazing, you know, coming home, leaving the hospital, and just seeing him, you know, being able to hold him. It was great finally actually being able to hold him again after 5 weeks, because then I could finally lift him up and play with him. And he's at the age where he crawls around everywhere, so I couldn't do anything, but I could just watch him. And finally, it was actually really good to just give him walks around the neighborhood while I was recovering, because walking is the best after heart surgery. So I, you know, walked him around the neighborhood and as much as I could, but that was really great. And just having all my family support me the whole time was really wonderful.
Was it like such a relief? Did you feel more like when you woke up, do you feel like it was more of a relief, or do you feel like you were more scared? Was it a mix of emotions? What?
When I came home? I still had a lot of healing to do, and the recovery process was still long, and it was a 6-week healing process, basically. And we still had to go through the weekend of the wedding, and that was kind of, it was tough because, you know, I'm sitting in bed trying to recover while we should have been having our wedding. I know that was tough on my fiance, but we're gonna have a great wedding coming up, so. But yeah, I mean, it was a relief to be healthy again. I mean, it was a relief to know that you're gonna be around for a lot longer than everything happened so fast that I didn't know I was sick. So I didn't have that relief feeling, like, you know, like, oh my God, I just got healed. It was just kind of just a quick punch in the face all the time. I think the big relief just recently was just being able to start, you know, jogging a little bit with the running stroller and really lifting up Colton, and, you know, spending more time with my fiance without too many restrictions. And then now the future, I have no idea how well my heart will be. You know, it's going to be hopefully better than it ever was. And, you know, that's a testament to all the technology they have now. You know, they could have, years past, I hear people that they have mechanical valves that are ticking and all this stuff, and that's just scary. So thank God they were able to repair it with all the new technology. And I YouTubed some videos and watched a surgery, and I only could do that about 6 weeks after the surgery, and that was kind of scary because just knowing what they do is pretty scary. But yeah, I mean, they said it was as good as new. So that's where I'm relieved, you know.
That's awesome.
And every day I'm more relieved because I can actually do more and, you know, start planning vacations. Like, yeah, I want to go up to the mountains. You know, 8 weeks ago I didn't know if I was going to go up to the mountains or not, or you know, plan vacations. So now every day I feel a little more relieved, a little more grateful. So it's still a daily process trying to
Right.
recover and just see what my heart function is.
I'm like blown away by your story and just like how fast it all happens is just, that's the part that I think is the most, you're in a blur, you don't have time. And you know, a lot of times cancer of course is horrible too. You have time to prepare, you can research, you can, but a lot of heart disease is just so fast. And
Yeah.
it's like that's why like doing this and like having these conversations are so important and getting the warning signs out there. And that's like what our goals are as the American Heart Association. We're trying to just like get that messaging, get those goals, you know, so people know these warning signs so they can like demand proper care, so they can, you know, and it's sad that we have to do that, but we have to take control of our own health. And like, I can't tell you how helpful you sharing your story and this is, because I think it's just so relatable. It's that, I mean, I'm 30, so like I can relate, like just living normal life and then all of a sudden you just get hit in the face and you're like, you have all these great plans and they get derailed, and it's just.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the warning signs, and that's one of the things that people, they don't get the warning signs until it's too late. I had a coworker, her husband passed away, and he was only 40. He had 2 kids, and he had a massive heart attack, and he was active, he was a football coach, and this was only 4 months before my surgery. So I heard her telling her story. I'm like, wow, that's sad and all. No, that's sad. We all felt for her at our company, and you know, we all loved her, and it was really sad. But I was like, that could never happen to me. And 4 months later, I was almost just as bad as him. Like it was amazing. Like no one. I think there should be more warnings out there. Like a lot of my coworkers are now going to get echograms and getting checked whenever they have a symptom because they're scared. You know, especially if even an office job takes a big toll on just your physical, like staring at a computer all day. You don't realize how being not physical is so unhealthy for you. And a lot of coworkers are actually, they're more in tune now after seeing what I went through. They're like, oh my God, they were going to the doctor. My one friend, he went and got an echogram last week because he had a racing heartbeat, and he actually went. And another guy, he's paying more attention too. So you have to pay attention to the warning signs. If there are warning signs, and I think doctors should push that, listening to the heart more, because if you can prevent a massive heart attack, there should be ways of preventing it.
Mm-hmm.
Early detection is key.
It's actually, the stat is 80% of heart disease is preventable. So
Wow.
it's amazing to think like, and I know your situation is so frustrating because you went through all of this, and like how awesome is it that you had Dr. Cartledge who like recognized those warning signs or like really recognized what you had, and they were able to take care of you. And it's just like, it's so amazing. Like I'm so excited that I'm talking to you today because like the seriousness of the situation is like a lot of people just, and like I can't believe you had surgery like months ago. That's like blows
Yeah.
my mind. You're like in incredible shape. You're playing with Golden.
Yeah.
I guess it just didn't like relate to me how soon it was. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was September 24th. I had the surgery, and you know, it's almost February 1st, so it wasn't that long ago. And Dr. Cartledge saved my life, and you know, he's gonna be coming to my wedding, so it's gonna be pretty amazing. I can't thank him enough, and everyone that is involved with, you know, American Heart Association or anything to do with the heart to better people's lives it's really great, because there's so much technology they can do right now. As an engineer, I really, you know, respect the technology. And I just saw someone 3D printed a heart to save a little girl, and and that's amazing because we do 3D printing in my company. So, you know, using this type of technology to help people is really great, and all the other amazing things they can do with, you know, stents and just everything is pretty. They can basically repair your heart if you get to see the doctor in time and save your life and add years to your life. I mean, they can add 20 years to a bad heart, and hopefully 60 in my case, or more than that. So it's amazing what they can do, and I didn't even know they could do any of this stuff until now. And I didn't have time to research it either. I just had to let the doctors do what they had to do and let them do everything.
Well, I feel like you were in great hands with Jessica and with your family. Dr. Cartledge is phenomenal. You were in incredible hands. He's a wonderful, wonderful doctor.
Yeah.
And we have so much respect for him.
Yeah, it was great having him.
Yeah, so that's great. I think that was perfect. If there's one,
Because
No, yeah, that's a test.
I can always. Okay.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Ready? Because of Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association, I'm alive to celebrate my wedding on March 6th, which is in a month, so, or in a couple weeks. And I'm happy, blessed because of that.
thank you. That's awesome. Maybe we'll just do, and you can improvise it in whatever words, you know, you're
Okay.
comfortable with and you feel like communicate how you feel or whatever.
Okay. Because of Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association, I will be alive to celebrate my wedding on March 6th, and I'm grateful because of that.
I think that was perfect.
Maybe one more, because there's some like footsteps. Okay.
Because of Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association, I'll be alive to celebrate my wedding on March 6th. I don't think that was that good, but...
So Jessica, what was going through your mind when you first heard the news about that?
Can't say what was really going through my mind. No, I'm just kidding. I think I was shocked. You know, I certainly in moments of disbelief, but I had to snap out of it really quickly and take in all of what I was being told with as rational of a mind as possible. I needed to I felt as though I needed to be the strong one so I could understand everything that was being told to me and not miss a beat. So I sort of went into, I think, overdrive. I knew in my heart that he was going to be okay once everything was explained to me what was going on, but the initial shock was, it was surreal. I sort of kind of kept feeling like I was looking at our situation from outside our situation. You know, it was the most inopportune time, if there is such a thing, with everything else that was going on that I was so consumed with, that to switch gears and realize that I was being faced, or we were being faced with this dire situation was nothing short of shocking. I don't really know how else to say it.
No, definitely. What I think it's a great way to say it, and like it's, I actually lost my father to heart disease, and so I can really relate to the surreal, the shock that because it completely came out of left field, and I feel like I hear your story, and I feel like I actually relate with you because I know what it's like to have someone that you love and you care about, and you're just sitting there and you're watching and you have no control over it. And I think that's something that I really want to try to communicate to this audience because I want them to understand. I think sometimes they're supporting the American Heart Association, but they really understand like, when it impacts us, when it hits us, like how.
You know, I think initially too, I went through a stage of feeling guilt because I felt like it was partially my fault for not pushing him to go to the doctor sooner. You know, I'm gonna try not to cry. I was scared. Everything was going so perfectly in our lives. I had just said to my mom maybe a week before, everything is falling into place with this wedding. Everyone says weddings are supposed to be difficult, and this is just too easy. Something's going to happen. And I certainly didn't think I was predicting anything like what we went through, or what we would have to go through or endure. And Colton only being 6 months old and healthy and happy, and you know, we're in such a happy place. It was just, I felt as though somebody was playing a joke on us. But I also knew that we'd get through it. I just knew that there were angels on our shoulders and that nothing was going to tear us apart. So.
And what feelings of, you know, joy or relief did you have when you saw Thad for the first time when he came out of surgery?
I've never been so happy in my life. It was probably second to the birth of my son. I felt so happy and just relieved. The weight of the world was lifted off of my chest when I saw him. And I knew that the surgery went well. And actually, it was really the look on Dr. Cartledge's face when he came out of the operating room, where I felt like everything was going to be okay. Because leading up to that moment, I was a nervous wreck, as you can imagine. And Thad had told me that he had written Colton a letter, and he said it was in the home file. And so I went racing back to the room after they wheeled him away, and I was looking for a manila folder. And I went crazy trying to find it. And there was no folders left upstairs. We had taken everything, and I just, finally it dawned on me that he meant on the computer. And there it was, sitting in a file on his desktop. And I read it. I had to read it. But I knew the moment I saw Dr. Cartledge that Colton would never have to read it. And that's all that mattered. So I felt so grateful and happy that we were where we were. You know, I knew that we were in great hands. And Dr. Cartledge, I knew, did everything he promised me he was hoping to be able to do. And then some. And the look on his face was relief as well. And that was so comforting. So.
Awesome. And what has been the process since he's come home in terms of actually, you know, what was it like almost the rehabilitation, the what was that like? What did that look like?
The first week home was very difficult. You know, I think when you're in the hospital, as much as he was struggling to get up and walk and even breathe, you know, and it was very painful for him to cough or, you know, sit up even, that started to dissipate a little bit in the hospital, but you don't realize how much help you're getting in the hospital with the nurses 24 hours a day, obviously. And when he came home, the first couple of nights were a bit scary. To even help him have a shower or get him propped up in bed to the point where he was comfortable and was able to breathe was difficult. And, you know, I think over time, over the next couple of weeks, where he just started to progress ever so positively, that, you know, once I saw him want to go for longer walks around the neighborhood, I felt more positive about his, I'm going back to those moments, and it's kind of difficult to relive them. But he was progressing in the way that I knew he'd get to where he is today. And, you know, it was frustrating. It was a little bit of nagging on my part to make sure that he was breathing into that thing that they send you home with, and doing that every couple of hours, and making sure he was taking his medication. And making sure he was eating enough and eating properly. And of course, you have those questions. Does he need to be on a heart-friendly diet and all of those things? But we also wanted to pack on some pounds, so making sure he was getting ice cream sundaes at night and all of that good stuff. So, and just making sure that he was as comfortable home as he was, as comfortable as they try to make you in the hospital. And then I had a lot of help with my parents as well. They helped us with the baby, thank goodness, because there was days and nights where I was at the hospital for most of the day. So we were thankful that they were here to help us. And once we got home again, I think it was a big relief when Dad was able to go back to work, slowly at first, or partially at first, while he was going to physical therapy. And then, it was just such a relief for him to get stronger. Every week there was a little bit of progress, and every time we went back to the doctor and heard reports of him progressing in the manner that they expected and had hoped, is a huge relief, actually. We're still going through that process, and it's still in a big waiting game, really. But once he was able to get that life vest off, I noticed a literally and figurative kind of weight get lifted off of him. And I think at that point he knew that he was going to be okay. And because that was extremely cumbersome and embarrassing and caused a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable and yeah.
What's it like when, you see Dad? What's it like for both of you? I'm assuming maybe you jog together with the stroller or something. Like, what is that like for both of you?
I'm just going for walks in the nature walk now. It's a lot more, what's the word? It's more, you're grateful to just go out and walk, and just using a running stroller. I didn't know if I'd ever use the running stroller. I thought he'd be too old, and now I'm just starting to jog, so I'm not really jogging too much yet. But
we don't really work out that together. I'm trying to get him to do yoga with me at home. I'm working on that. So, but we have gone for a few walks as a family, or even to the beach, which is a big part of our relationship, things that we like to do together. And I know that he'll be out swimming in the ocean with Colton next summer. I think it's a bit frustrating for him to not be able to run out and catch some of the waves during the winter. But
yeah, it's frustrating. But the cardiac rehab at the hospital was really a big help, and their program was top notch. I did that for 8 weeks, and that I couldn't walk. I was walking 2 miles an hour for 10-15 minutes. This is 4 weeks after the surgery, and now I can walk as fast as I possibly can, and they had me doing weights. I couldn't. Lifting a bowling ball after the surgery would be like a nightmare. It's like my worst nightmare. And now, I can. That's not going bowling. It wouldn't be that big of an issue, just because the cardiac rehab helped me so much. And I actually went golfing, and I wanted to do all this a little bit earlier, and just wouldn't let me. Thank God, because it would have been not very good.
I think it's a testament to Dad's spirit also. I think a lot of people potentially could have taken this event and started to feel sorry for themselves, or really not wanting to sort of persevere. And I think as soon as Dad got home, he wanted to do as much as he could, and he pushes himself within reason. And that makes me very proud, and I'm honored that he is the father of my son. And I know that Colton not only will have his dad here to look up to, but I think Dad has a second lease on life, and I hope he takes it and runs with it. And I know that Colton will benefit from that spirit. And that is something I'm extremely grateful for. So, if there's any positive in all that we've gone through, I think it's that, and that you have an appreciation for the life that you're given and for the people around you, and we're going to make the most of it.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's like really, I mean, to me personally, that's so encouraging. Thank you for sharing that.
The only way I can look at it.
And I think maybe if we could say one last thing, where do you want to kind of talk about, like, both of you can.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're just so grateful for Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association and all they've done to ensure that we're here together and getting married on March 6th, finally.
Take two.
Yeah. So a lot more to celebrate this time.
Thank you. Dad, do you mind seeing it one time too, and then we'll just kind of see what March says, if that's okay?
So we're just so thankful to have had Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association. I'll redo that. We're just so thankful to have Dr. Cartledge and the American Heart Association so we could celebrate our wedding on March 6th and finally have a wedding.
That's amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I mean, this